Hey there, everybody. It is the bewitching hour. Five-ish? Is this five-ish enough for you? My clock says it is exactly 5:11. That's five-ish. Sometimes when I'm here on Facebook, it's a little heavy on the five. Some days it's a little heavy on the ish. How are you doing? It is so good to be here, and I'm excited about today's topic. It is about freeze-dried food, but it's all about using freeze-dried food every day. So instead of thinking that freeze-dried food is some kind of a Frankenstein food, or we're not going to touch that until the world ends, and then we're going to start opening up those big number 10 cans of freeze-dried whatever, freeze-dried mystery foods, I think that you should consider using freeze-dried food a lot for snacks and in some of your favorite recipes. I'm going to share one of my favorite ways of using freeze-dried food, and I've actually given this particular dish to people and they never had a clue that it was freeze-dried, that anything in it was freeze-dried. So let's see, we have about 8 people here, and I'm going to wait just another minute or so. You may not know this, but when you go Facebook Live, when you go Facebook Living, it takes a little while for you to show up on people's Facebook news feeds. And so if you are watching this on YouTube, well, you don't have to worry about Facebook or being at any certain time on any certain Facebook channel. You can just jump on YouTube and look for Lisa Bedford. And I think my YouTube channel is called, all my videos are under Lisa Bedford. I think I also signed up for The Survival Mom. But for those of you that know me, you know that technology is not exactly my strong suit. And so every once in a while I find some kind of a clumsy blunder that I made. And I just think, oh, well, hopefully people will forgive me for not being super techie, because I certainly am not. I'm anything but. However, that's not the end of the world to not be super techie, is it? So I see that we are beginning. Hey there, Mark Summers, how are you? We are beginning to attract attention. One of my favorite lines from movies is, don't attract the attention of the authorities. And I have thought before, that would be a fun line to say someday to my kids. They're getting in trouble. Hey, don't attract the authorities. Don't attract any attention from the authorities. Whatever that is. Some days around here, it's kind of hard to not attract attention. But I am sharing this. If you're wondering what on earth I am doing, I am sharing this with a couple of other groups. We are Survival Moms. That is my group. That is for women only. And nothing top secret goes on in there. It's just a conversation that includes women. And then I also have a group called Survival Mom Boot Camp. And Survival Mom Boot Camp comes September. You better join, because coming in September, that group is going to go crazy. I have some plans for the month of September, which coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, is National Preparedness Month. And so in September, I have a doozy of a plan for you. So you want to make sure that if there's only one group that you join on Facebook, it is that one, Survival Mom Boot Camp. And it's a really active group right now. We don't have anything, special promotions or anything going on over there. But boy, if you ask a question, there are dozens of people there that are going to give you an answer. So I'm really happy with that. And by the way, all of you Survival Mom Sisterhood members, you know that you can look for every one of my Facebook Lives in the video vault once you log in. And that is a nice benefit for members only. If you think that, what would it be like to be a member of an exclusive gated community with a bunch of survival moms? I think it's a good thing. You can try going to survivalmomsisterhood.com and sign up for the wait list. It will open to the public later in September. So I'm excited about that. So let's talk about freeze-dried food. It's not a Frankenstein food. It is nothing to be afraid of. If you have gone to websites that sell freeze-dried food, though, boy, can I understand the intimidation factor. The very first time I ever placed an order, this woman I knew, Crystal Lynn, I think was her name, in Arizona. And she walked me through and she said, okay, this would be a good thing to have, in your food storage, and this thing would be good. And she showed me what a number 10 can looks like, not a tin can, but a number 10 can. It's about, I don't have one here, it's about a gallon size. And she kind of walked me through what I needed to think about, what foods my family would eat and so on. So what I want to propose to you is don't think of this food as survival food, survivalist food. We're going to put it in the closet and then we're going to forget about it. And when the end of the world comes, kids, we're going to be ready. Mom has her stash of freeze-dried food. I really think it's a much smarter idea to start trying it out now. The next time you're making a soup, for example, that calls for sliced mushrooms, I think right now, even as we speak, I have a large container of mushrooms, and if they have not all turned slimy, I'm going to be really lucky. I even forgot, my daughter said, Mom, why'd you buy the mushrooms? And I was probably on one of those rolls where you're just inspired by one recipe after another, and you make a manic, crazy, long grocery list. And then, a week later, you don't even remember what you bought half the stuff for. So freeze-dried sliced mushrooms, those in particular, they are almost God's gift to mankind because they don't turn slimy. They're beautifully light tan, fresh, look like they're just, they were just sliced, this morning. Or maybe just a few minutes ago. So I really recommend starting to use these foods just in everyday cooking. It doesn't have to be a big ordeal. So I remember one time when we'd stocked up on freeze-dried food. My son loved freeze-dried corn. And he introduced freeze-dried corn to his best friend, happened to be a girl, the next door girl, and she loved freeze-dried corn. And so for her birthday, we gave her a can of freeze-dried corn. Some of the freeze-dried foods are really that good. You can just eat them directly out of the can and they're yummy. So when we're talking about incorporating freeze-dried food in your meals, number one, I'm talking about individual ingredients. Right now, I'm not talking about the meals where you just add water. So I'm talking about things like freeze-dried raspberries, freeze-dried cranberries, freeze-dried sliced mushrooms, like I mentioned, freeze-dried shredded chicken, those kinds of things. The individual, like the building blocks of recipes. And I think that really is, if you were going to invest some money, a little bit of money, a lot of bit of money in freeze-dried food, you would be so much better off investing it in those kinds of ingredients. Instead of, it's okay to have, I'll talk about those just add water meals in one of these Facebook Lives. But I recommend that if you're going to put the money into it, start looking for ingredients that you already use all the time. Do you buy frozen peas for some of your recipes? Try freeze-dried peas and see how you like those. They'll never get freezer burned. So during the freeze-dried process, whether it is freeze-dried cheese, the raspberries I mentioned before, and so on, pretty much all the nutrients, the original nutrients, are still there. And so for that reason, if you have kids or grandkids around, they really can make a really good snack. They're nutritious. You can give your kids a little bowl, for example, of freeze-dried Greek yogurt. It's delicious. Freeze-dried blueberry yogurt. You can give them a bowl, and I used to go through my pantry, sometimes in a panic, and I would find like little pretzels, I would find maybe some kind of a cereal, and then I would throw in maybe one or two different kinds of freeze-dried fruit or some kind of freeze-dried snacks. Freeze-dried banana slices are amazing. And by the way, when you rehydrate those, they make an awesome banana bread. So one way to use them is just incorporate them just as snacks. You can go through, for example, the Thrive Life website. I have all the links to my 4 favorite companies in the freeze-dried primer, freeze-dried food primer. And I want you to make sure you sign up for that because I have the links already there. My recommendations are there. And I have tried and used freeze-dried food from the biggest freeze-dried companies on the internet. Okay, so those are my recommendations. But when you incorporate them as snacks, it's just a really easy way to just try them out. And you do want to start out buying this size of can. This is called a number 2.5 can. And in Thrive Life, they call it a pantry size can. Some of the other food companies, they may have they may just use the number 2.5, or they may have their own terminology. But start with that size first. Number 2, use freeze-dried produce in place of fresh. Not for everything. I would not be attracted to a freeze-dried lettuce, for example, if they made it. They do, some companies do make freeze-dried cabbage or dehydrated cabbage. But if you make a soup or casserole, for example, that has corn, try it with freeze-dried corn. Freeze-dried corn is exactly the same size as regular corn. You'll just want to rehydrate it first. Or if you're making something watery with a lot of water, like a soup, just add a little extra water and then just throw your freeze-dried veggies directly in there. But I really do like freeze-dried ingredients in those simple recipes. In a soup, for example, freeze-dried cubed potatoes, freeze-dried onions, freeze-dried corn, freeze-dried green beans, and so on. I mentioned that I made a mixture for my dogs, freeze-dried potato flakes, some freeze-dried ground beef, some freeze-dried ground beans, freeze-dried green beans, and they were both extremely happy. So produce is another really easy way just to kind of get your foot in the door with eating freeze-dried food and incorporating it just every day. And the third tip I have for you, freeze-dried meat / poultry. I was shocked the first time I started using this on a regular basis. In our family, we have a tradition, and we just call it, we don't really have a better term, we just call it the smorgasbord. And the smorgasbord is all we buy, go to like foodie type grocery stores, and we buy exotic cheeses and exotic meats and, you know, different kinds of crackers and flatbreads. And we have little jars of jams and jellies and Branston pickle. And we just feast on all those amazing things. And part of that feast, our little smorgasbord, is homemade chicken salad. And my daughter has perfected 2 or 3 different versions of chicken salad. And you know what we have used more often than not? Freeze-dried shredded chicken. We just rehydrate it in a bowl of warm water, and we let it sit there, usually for maybe a good 10-15 minutes longer than we're supposed to. Drain it, we pat it dry, and then when you mix your, you know, whatever you put in your chicken salad, we put mayonnaise, and okay, she has a really good, delicious curry recipe, like a curry chicken salad, and you would never guess it was freeze-dried chicken. And there have been a couple of times when I have made my favorite enchiladas. My favorite enchiladas are just cheese enchiladas, but there are times when I have added chicken, used the freeze-dried chicken, and given it to a friend who was sick, or given it to, you know, to someone just as a special meal, and they never guess it's freeze-dried chicken. It really, it's that mind-boggling because it just doesn't seem like it's even possible that you can just take some dried crunchy stuff from a can, pour water over it, let it sit, and then you just use it up like you would a regular, you know, regular shredded chicken or cubed chicken, sliced beef, and so on. Another one of my favorites is pulled pork. Who knew? Freeze-dried pulled pork. I rehydrate it, I get my skillet going, a cast iron skillet or one of my big family skillets, and I get some oil in there, maybe some bacon grease, some chopped up onion, and I get that going, and then I add the rehydrated pulled pork, kind of saute that until maybe some of the edges are kind of brown and crunchy, and then we can eat it like that in some kind of recipe, some kinds of recipes, and then others I'll just add some barbecue sauce. Again, it's almost like a miracle to think that you can have this meat just sitting in your pantry. You don't have to keep it refrigerated or anything. So that is maybe one of my favorite ways, our favorite types of food to use just in everyday cooking. Thrive Life also makes a wonderful sausage crumble. And I mentioned that, and I talked to you about a few ways I use that in a previous Facebook Live I did a few days ago that also was about freeze-dried food. So I want you to make sure that you know what you're getting into, you know what kinds of food to start with, and you can do that with my primer. Go to thesurvivalmom.com/freeze-dried food, and there's a form to fill out, and you'll get it within just a few minutes to your email box. The reason that I do that with these freebies is because I don't want to just send those off to everybody who doesn't want, you know, they're not interested. They might be interested in one printable, they might be interested in this cheat sheet or this primer or whatever. I want to make sure that it just goes to only the people who are truly interested. So again, thesurvivalmom.com/freeze-dried food. And our 3 points again: freeze-dried food is excellent as snacks. Consider replacing your fresh, some not all, but some of your the freeze-dried fruits, the freeze-dried vegetables that you use kind of in everyday cooking, and you switch from fresh to freeze-dried. Give it a try. And then third, take a look at freeze-dried meat. One advantage that I meant to mention is that when you get freeze-dried meat, there is no gristle, there's no fat. You're not going to have to drain the fat from it. It might be actually, if you are on, you know, some kind of diet or eating plan where you really have to go very low fat with some things, you might want to take a look at the fat content, let's say of ground beef, freeze-dried ground beef, for example. But there are no bones. You're not cutting off a bunch of fat that was part of the weight of the package when you bought it fresh. So there is zero waste with freeze-dried meat, freeze-dried poultry. I think it's great for food storage, of course. That probably is maybe what you think of initially when you think of freeze-dried food. Let's stock up on it for storage. But I think it's a lot smarter actually to start incorporating in your meals. And even if you don't continue on forever using it, then at least you know what it's like. And so if you have those cans or those boxes in the pantry or under a bed or somewhere, then hey, at least, if the worst happens, some huge worst case scenario, you won't be opening cans of some kind of mystery food that you have no idea what. So I'm taking a look at comments now. We have Verna Marie from South Africa. Welcome. So glad to have you. My friend Paula Pierce is here with her happy smiley face. Von Howard bought a home freeze dryer that is becoming pretty popular. Mark says, give peas a chance. Well, you have to convince my husband, Mark, because I don't think he would. I do have one recipe that has peas in it, and he likes the recipe. Kind of the whole compilation of all the ingredients. The peas are a minor distraction. Let's see. We have someone talking about the freeze-dried, the home freeze-dryer machines, and Joy mentions I've dehydrated freeze-dried chicken and added it to my lettuce salad. You can't even tell it's not fresh. That's pretty amazing. So before I sign off, any questions at all about freeze-dried food in particular? Next week, don't forget, it is all about back to school week. We're going to talk about things you can send with your kid in case there's an emergency in the classroom. I'm going to teach you how to put together a classroom emergency bucket. And you might even approach a classroom teacher or maybe an administrator and say, hey, if I put this together, if there's would there be a problem? And things like little water pouches and maybe a few light sticks, things like that if the power goes out. I remember when I was a classroom teacher, I thought many times, what if there was ever some kind of a lockdown and I'm in this classroom with all these fourth graders and someone has to pee? And that's going to happen. And I might be the one, but sooner or later, it's just that's the way nature is. Someone's going to have to pee. So I'll have instructions for you next week. And even if you don't have kids, if you have grandkids, talk to them and see if you can put together one of those buckets. Next week, 5 days in a row, all about back to school. Mark asks, favorite supplier. Mark, I've tried several. And if you get my primer, you'll see the 4 that I have used most frequently. Ultimately, the one that I went with kind of permanently is Thrive Life. And here's a tip for Thrive Life. If you go to thrivelife.com and you start looking around and shopping and filling up your cart, they have different price tiers. And because of that, their straight website price is going to be the highest price. They want you to go through someone like me or another independent consultant with Thrive Life, and you will get a slightly cheaper price. I honestly haven't compared, but you'll get a cheaper price through them. So you can get my affiliate link, that's what I call it, and you can shop in the Survival Mom store on Thrive Life, or you can find someone else. But I would be really interesting to compare when you just go straight thrivelife.com and you're going to shop for, shredded mozzarella cheese, you're going to look for chicken, and you're going to look for, mushrooms and peas and raspberries, and dehydrated or freeze-dried blueberry yogurt, and then compare those prices. That would be interesting. I have not done that. But Mark, that is my favorite. I just have found that they just, the quality is always there. Melinda, love the idea of more classroom preparedness. Thank you. And I like the idea, actually, of you all taking the idea of like a classroom emergency bucket and maybe even making a little presentation to the teachers or the classroom and saying, hey, if there's a power outage, if there's something where we need to just kind of stay in our classroom. I would not go into any scary scenarios there, but here's what we have. And I would not be surprised at all if the kids are wanting to dig into emergency light sticks and emergency blankets and those kinds of things, but they very well might. Let's see, question from South Africa. We don't have freeze-dried food stocks here, so you could recommend a few online suppliers to look at. You know what, Myrna? Make sure, I'm just going to give you this link right on your comment, because there are a lot of, let's see, here we go. There are a lot of companies out there. There's Legacy Foods, there's, Thrive Life, there's Honeyville, Augustin Farms. There's like a Patriot Supply. There's a lot of them. There's one that I would not recommend, and it's the company. The name of the company. It has 4 letters in the company. The middle 2 are IS. I really don't want to really go public with that negativity. Everybody's trying their best, to make a living, but I'm a good cook, and I can doctor up just about anything, and I couldn't do nothing for that food. So you get the links on my primer, thesurvivalmom.com/freeze-dried food. And I'm going to end. Have a great weekend. You can view this video later right here on my Facebook page or in the 2 groups. We are Survival Moms and Survival Mom Bootcamp. You can also go over to YouTube, look up Lisa Bedford, and almost all these videos are over there, and I'm just kind of scheduling them out on YouTube. So I just don't blast YouTube, with like 5 videos in one day. So I'm kind of scheduling them out a little bit. Survival Mom Sisterhood, you know where to find your videos and your printables. Hey, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll be back on Monday. Bye.